Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Fatback 4 on the LFC Daytrippers. I'm Gav. With me tonight is Seany, Keith, and Kev. Loads to get through. United against Liverpool at Old Trafford tomorrow being the main thing, probably the only thing we're going to talk about tonight, to be honest. And we're going to do it in about an hour if that's okay, because Red Steve says I wouldn't mind if this one finished before midnight, Gav. Red Steve, of course, straight on top of me. One show goes over, and Red Steve decides that this is all the channel does. It just keeps going over time, all the time.
But disclaimer, we can't promise that we won't.
Oh, no, we never promised that we could, but we'll try. Keith, come to you first. How was your weekend? Yeah. And have you enjoyed the weekend's football? Because I think it's been really good.
Yeah, it has. It just shows, doesn't it, that, everything can shift in an instance. Obviously, Liverpool, we've been in the doldrums. We know tomorrow is a big game, but the Man City result today sort of throws things back, a little curveball there early for them as well. So, yeah, liven the football up for tomorrow, which I think will help Liverpool. It'll make them focus. But I enjoyed Leeds and Chelsea today. I watched that game and I thought Leeds were excellent, and I really enjoyed watching them. So, yeah, good weekend of football.
Seany, there has been some good games. I don't know why, but I watched Everton and Forest yesterday while I was here. But like some really good goals, some really good football. It's been very entertaining. This, I would say, probably the most entertaining weekend so far. I know there's only been two before it, but
yeah. Well, I have to say, I was really impressed with Leeds today. That was a game I kind of got to watch without any sort of because yesterday I was busy, and then the City game. I tend to watch City intermittently, to be honest with you. I couldn't watch them for 90 minutes. It's just that they just bore the fuck out of me. They really do. Even now when it's not that tense, you know what I mean? But I really enjoyed watching Leeds today. All of that signing seemed to hit the ground, and the two lads in the middle of the park were unbelievable. Both Tyler Adams and Aronson, I thought they were both very, very good. And at the same time, Chelsea were very, very shit. So, it's a mad helter-skelter. The league has gotten started earlier than usual, and I think it's given the teams that are at the bottom end of the table a little bit more of a chance, because they would have had more of a rest because they haven't got as much games in the leg as the big boys. We seen with ourselves and Fulham on the opening weekend, we kind of got caught happy. And then today, with Chelsea, they looked leggy. Leeds looked full of energy. So it's weird to see teams still sort of that looking tired at this early stage in the season, but they had little to no break. So it's going to be hectic, I reckon, all the way up into November. And we're already fucking suffering the amount of injuries we have. But one thing I will say is the football is really good, and there's no disputing for me. Besides the shit officiating, the Premier League is definitely the best league in the world.
I think it's been really good since the start of the season. It's been interesting to see, clubs at different parts of their journey or whatever, or their project, whatever you want to call, kind of clashing with clubs that are at different stages. Like you look at that today, Leeds brought in a load. Chelsea are still trying to sort themselves out, and Leeds go and bash Chelsea today. You look at Newcastle and City today, and 5 minutes in, City are up, and you're thinking, that's it. Newcastle come flying back, City come back flying back at them, and you're kind of going, that's the City of old, that you're used to, that they just keep going and going and going. And then you look at Palace, who, a bit unfortunate maybe against Arsenal on the opening day. They had some good chances, or that was the Friday night, it was the first game of the season. They get a draw at Anfield, and then they beat Villa yesterday, and Villa just look all over the place. It's really interesting to see not even a style clash, it's just a progression clash between different clubs, and it'll even itself out, there's no doubt about it. I think, Arsenal are top with 9 points, and again, that Palace game, they were really good for certain parts of it, but could have lost it. Leicester looked poor and Arsenal beat them, and they were really good against Bournemouth yesterday, who looked really, really poor. But the clashes of progression is really good. Kev, have you enjoyed the weekend?
I didn't watch much yesterday. I watched it all today, though. The Leeds one, I watched the Leeds game, and I had Joe's watch along on while I was watching the match. Oh my God, that was hilarious. It was absolutely priceless watching the goals go in, because he made a bet with someone in his chat before the start of the game that if it was 4-0, he was going to get a tattoo of Jesse Marsh next to Bielsa. So he was sat there at 3-0, and it was. Well, in fairness to him, he was roaring on for 4. You know what I mean?
And he would do it as well.
Oh yeah, he's a mad yoke, so he would have. But it was one of those games today that Leeds were really good. Leeds look like they've bought into bought into Jesse Marsh's ideas of pressing in the right areas while keeping organised at the back. And they're 1 or 2 signings away from being very safe. Newcastle, look, the refereeing in that Newcastle game was atrocious. It was the worst officiating 90 minutes I've seen this year. I mind have seen.
Who was
this
it?
Year. I don't know. I've never seen him before. It was a new guy.
Australian lad,
wasn't the Australian fella, was it?
I don't know who the fuck he was, mate. I'd never seen him before.
I think
he
it was him,
atrocious. Yeah. He almost looked like he was officiating personalities out there. You know, it's Man City. We'll let the casual fouls go, and then we'll come down on Newcastle like a ton of bricks. There was things that happened in that game. You'd have to watch 1 to 90 and just watch the refereeing, because Newcastle can feel very hard done by in that result today. Chelsea or City were good for their goals, but their third goal should never have been allowed. There was a big push from one of the City players on a Newcastle defender in the box. And it was a 2-handed straight into your chest, push over in the box. It was a free out all day long. The corner was taken quickly, and they scored from it. And it was just like, get on with the game. It's that kind of nonsense. And I couldn't get over what I was watching. I mean, he sent some guy off, and then the VAR. He sent Trippier off.
Trippier, yeah.
Yeah, then he had to go and rescind that and give him a yellow, and it was a yellow card. I mean, if there was orange, it would have been an orange card. But like, referees like that are going to decide the league if it's tight. It's
Brian
decisions
Murphy,
in games like that are going to decide the league.
Brian Murphy says Jared, the Australian fella, and of course that's following on from, was it Mike Dean saying he missed someone pulling someone's hair?
Cucurella, and that led to a goal as well.
Yeah, Shawnee, you've muted yourself, it says here, and I can't seem to get you unmuted, so you might need to hit something there. But I want to get into this United and Liverpool. Shawnee's okay there now, perfect. Shawnee, I might as well start with you then, since you've come back, right? Want to start off looking at the form of both teams. Now I know it's a very small pool to look at. Maybe the first 2 games and stuff like that. Where you see yourself. Veranda Cheese has the horn tonight, and for loads of things he's given out, because I said that reminds you of the City of old. I meant the City, of course, who's just relentless over the last couple of years. But he said that he's in one of those humours. I'll see him later. But Shawnee, City, or not City, United. You know, they lose at home to Brighton. Again, going into the season with optimism, and the new manager, they've signed a left back, Christian Eriksen signed. You know, they signed someone else as well. Can't remember. And they go into that, and I think they're well beaten by Brighton. Brighton do a number on them, and then they go to Brentford, and the manager picks the wrong side, and the goalkeeper throws it in the net, and they're just appalling. And now this is all leading on to this game against Liverpool, where we'll talk about protests and stuff later. But not a great start, Shawnee. Do you give him any sort of leeway, because he's literally having to deal with the same fellas that were appalling last season, bar the 2 or 3 he's brought in? Lissandro Martinez, of course, is the name I was thinking of.
Yeah, of course he gets leeway. I think, if I'm being honest, he's probably... I seen your thing about the Glazers the other night, and although I agree with an awful lot of it, it's a case to be made of United being the worst run club in England at the moment, right up there with everything. Like, you just think, they might be learning here from the stuff of old, and then they're going to pay 60 million for Casemiro and pay him X amount a week, and you're thinking to yourself, right, look, don't get me wrong, Casemiro's a smashing player. I don't think anyone's in denial about that, but like, he's a completely different profile of player to the young who've been chasing for the whole window. Like, it doesn't add up. So you look at what Ten Hag is dealing with there. It's all weird for me, Gav. Just chasing all these lads from the Dutch league, then bringing in Ajax players, a player he used to manage, and then I want Arnautovic. No, you're not getting Arnautovic because the fans said no. United is just a complete basket case, and it's actually hard to actually comprehend how a club so big has gotten into such a state. Liverpool was bad for a long time, but I don't remember it being this bad. Genuinely, I was listening to the boys, Dunphy and Giles, and although they come out with some mad things, they were giving out stink about teams playing out from the back, saying it's a nonsense and it shouldn't be in football. And then Dunphy start blaming the modernists for making the game like that. But he made a good point about United, and George was like, I played in United in, I think he said 63. He said we won the FA Cup. He said we battled relegation and we beat. I can't remember who he said. He goes, but it was never this bad. It was never this bad. He goes, and the thing was, back then United knew. They knew where they were and where they were heading. Whereas I think, I don't know what it is. Whoever's going in there, like Ten Hag probably went in there and probably thought, I can make it work with these group of players, and he's quickly finding out he can't. And the thing is, Gav, they're running out of people to blame that aren't the Glazers. It was Pogba. It was others. It was Martial's coming around. They could throw shit at Ronaldo there a little bit. And I think, to be honest with you, I think Ten Hag has failed all of his early tests so far because
100%.
He starts Ronaldo away at Brentford after he leaves the stadium early. You're coming out and condemning sort of stuff like that in interviews, and then you start him. Like, I don't know, it's been a tough start from him. And to be honest with you, I kind of, from what I've seen of Ten Hag in interviews and that, I like him. I do like him. I think he speaks well. I definitely think there's a manager in there somewhere, but I just don't know whether anyone can make that work. And they blame the Glazers and all. Like, United are probably going to go and spend 150 million next week. And I made this point to a couple of United fans, and they were chewing the head off me. They were saying, well, what the fucking Glazers says, well, hold on, right? Any other owner is only going to give X amount of money. If there's still same people making the decisions, they're going to have those mistakes. You could give your man Arnold 500 million tomorrow, and he'd spend it all on the wrong players. And when they turn around and say dividends, you're on the fucking stock exchange, you divvy. What? That's the whole point of being. That's what happens. Shareholders are entitled to their dividends. It's not like they're taking it out of their choice. It's almost, that's how the business operates. And you look across the board. City don't even, well, City do, but in a roundabout way they do it. They make up companies and plunder cash in. None other club. So I don't know. I think an informed United who should have won the games at Brighton and Brentford would have been licking their lips, probably playing us. But even though we haven't had a great start, we should be going there and bowling them over, because to be honest with you, they've no identity. There's not much quality in the squad. They've good players, but cohesion just completely lacking. He might drop Maguire tomorrow night. I think it could be a fucking disaster. United have been a disaster with him without Maguire. How are they going to play in midfield? Like, they're a basket case, Gav. We should be going there, no excuses, and beating them tomorrow and leaving them on the foot of the table. It shouldn't matter what's gone before them, no matter how much they employ themselves. I know you're really, really big on application, and I know there was games last year where you felt we didn't apply ourselves and you got really fucking frustrated. And I see that. I think that happened against Fulham. I think that was definitely in question. But I was just saying that in a group, really, Keith, if we go and play the way we did against Palace tomorrow night, we'll win that game.
Yeah, I agree. Because I think Palace are more organised than Man United. Yeah. I think they're more drilled, and I think they've a better attacking options than Manchester United. Yeah. And what I mean by that, they probably do have better attacking options overall for me. Just in how exciting they are and how as a unit they work together. Palace as opposed to United. Kev, you look at United, and I'm not going to get into the whole Glazer thing because I got into it way too much the other night, and I get frustrated as people just can't see that. No, actually, you know what? I'm not going into it. Kev, Man United go into this. They're two defeats from 2. He's under pressure. I seen something the other day about his next 6, including this one, and it's not the easiest run that they have either. You have a few really tricky ones in there as well. But what do United like? Is are you overly surprised by this? Is probably the question, because I'm going to get into the approach of both sides. But are you overly surprised that Brighton have managed to go there and win, and Brentford have beaten them? Now, probably not as heavily as that you'd think, but are you surprised at that? Because when I look at the teams he has out, I kind of go, this is just the same as last year with a different fella on the sideline.
I'm surprised at the manner of the defeats. I wasn't surprised that they got turned over. They were in horrific form at the end of last season, and it can roll into the following season if you're not careful. We've seen it with us going behind in games, and that's a hangover from last season as well. So I'm not surprised that they lost. I'm surprised at the manner that they lost the games, and I'm surprised that he spent pre-season trying to implement how he wants the game played. And whatever about the first goal against Brentford, keepers make mistakes if they happen. The second goal is criminal. Rolling the ball out for Eriksen to take it, and it was a horrific ball to give out in the first place. And then for that to happen, for Eriksen to even be in that position in the first place, it's just all kinds of wrong. So you have to wonder, what are they working at in training? This is basic stuff, playing out from the back. And one thing that Tim said on Friday night, he said he'd rather Ten Hag stuck to his guns and play how he wants them to play, rather than be pragmatic and play each opponent as an individual side. You'd rather go through the pain now for the benefits of it later on, because Ten Hag is a good coach and he will get it right eventually, but he's got to weed out the players who don't work at the moment. And he's got a week and a half left to do that. They need to do some serious work and serious business in this transfer window, but it's got to be the right business as far as they're concerned. There's no point in giving them 150 million if they're going to spunk it up the wall. It's pointless, and he has to know this. Otherwise, it's his reputation that's going to get hammered. And if this carries on for much longer, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if he holds his hands up and said, "I didn't sign up for this. I was given assurances, I was given promises by the board that this, and this would happen. It hasn't. I'm leaving." Because it's his reputation. He has a really good reputation coming from Ajax as someone who could develop sides, take sides into the late stages in Europe, plays open, attractive, attacking football and winning football. And that's why they brought him in. But if he's not going to get the players that he needs to play that way, then he's ultimately going to be the one that suffers for it. If he's there for 18 months trying to appease everybody, who's going to go near him after that? It's crazy at the minute there. It's an absolute basket case. I've never ever seen a club this big go this bad this fast. Normally there's a drop-off period. You see it coming. You saw it coming with Arsenal. You could see the fall-off, the drop-off coming with Arsenal, where they were finishing fourth for a few years, and then eventually they fell out. This with Manchester United is just atrocious. From a side that finished second a couple of years ago, I know it was by default because we were crippled with injuries, but in fairness, they still finished second. To go from there to openly looking at maybe not getting into the top 8, and realistically not getting into the top 8. The betting for tomorrow night's game, we're 7-4 on to go to Old Trafford and win. United are 9-2 at home against Liverpool. That's crazy.
But Kev,
them betting companies are onto something, by the way. They're giving out free bets like it's nothing tomorrow night. I have a feeling they might have a feeling that this game doesn't go ahead or something.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that in a bit. I'm kind of holding off on that. But Keith, Kev is right. Ten Hag's looking at it and he's saying how long it goes on for before Ten Hag goes what the fuck's going on here? Or he's given 150 million, and I don't know why Anthony is a big thing for them. I don't know why he's a massive target for them. Now that it could be the case of he's looking and going, Martial injured, Rashford's not at it. When you actually go through it, you're probably looking going, who else has he fucking got? He's probably pinning an awful lot on Jadon Sancho at the minute. When you look at the form and the disruption being caused by the others that's just being named. But at the same time, Keith, he would have come in there eyes completely open as to what his squad was, yeah, and what he needs to do. And do you remember he was back in training on July the 4th, and everyone was heralded as this.
Yeah.
This was never seen before.
Reinvented wheel.
We came back a day early, right? But he has to be given time. But is that part of it where you look and go, well, hold on. You know Harry Maguire doesn't work, right? And you know your fullbacks aren't good enough. And you know your midfield don't work hard enough. And you know your forward, and it just seems to be roll it out as it was last season. And it might be something in it. Keith Warey's saying, I'm putting it out as I want it. And if they don't perform, I'm going to have to take it hard here. But I'm going to keep doing it. But is there a bit of a way you just go, listen, why isn't this fucker playing 5 at the back for a start? Why isn't he just going 5-4-1 and, looking to consolidate and be hard to beat while he tries to put something in? Or is he going to be that kind of straight down the line and he's playing as he plays and that's it?
Yeah, see, I don't think he's going to revert to 5-4-1 at this stage because he's coming in from Ajax. He's a Dutch coach. Dutch coach is very stubborn, you know what I mean? They have their ways and they don't like to move from it. He'll stick with his way rather than, bend. I mean, Guardiola got this for years at Barcelona. Why are you not changing plan A? And he's like, plan A is perfect. Why would you change it? The Dutch coaches won't do that. So I can't see him doing it for tomorrow night. I think the business, it started off well and good for him, right? So they got Malacia in. That was one that he identified and they seen an opportunity. They got him. They went and got him Lisandro Martinez. Look, he's a great player. I think he's a great player, but I don't know. Jamie Carragher was lashing him out for getting dominated. Manchester United are now saying he dominated Brentford. He got hooked at half-time, 4-0 down, so I don't know how dominant he could have been. But he's a really good player on the ball. And then it all went wrong. Frankie de Jong is not the hill that he dies on, but United started their summer spending decent enough, and then they get to Frankie de Jong, and they spent too much time on a player. And I don't care what anyone says. If he wanted to go there, they could have got something done. Do you know what I mean? They could have got something done. We spoke about it before. They wasted all that time. And then the scattergun since that has just been ridiculous. Rabiot, 2 weeks waiting to be told no by Rabiot. And then Casemiro comes out with nowhere. Now, look, Casemiro, Shawnee touched on it. Casemiro's a great player. We all know that. But why is Casemiro going from the European champions to this shy? Because they are shy. They're in the Europa League. They're a mess. But he's getting 400, 450 a week for a 30-year-old. He's a great player, don't get me wrong. But will he have the hunger? He'd be going from playing for a team that dominates, in Spain and Europe to a team that, will be dominated. And that'll be a tricky one for him. They'll put all their eggs in that. Anthony for 100 million euros. I like Anthony. He's a great player. But I would have had him in the 40 million bracket rather than any 100 million bracket. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know what they're thinking is. They've just gone where I feel he's got really fucked was he had an opportunity to bin Harry Maguire, and he came and kept him as the captain. If he had anything about him, in my opinion, he would have took the captaincy off Harry Maguire and he would have dressed it up and he would have said, look, it's a fresh start for everyone. I think Harry can benefit from, playing without the burden of the captaincy. And then 2 weeks into the season, he could have dropped him, never to be seen again, and sold him for 10 million.
Loads of managers do that. It's not like you'd be Ten Hag could be hung out to dry for that.
No.
I remember Klopp doing it. Klopp done it with Benteke. Remember I was talking to Benteke.
Sacco.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Sacco. But then even if you look at Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers came in and he inherited Andy Carroll. And he's like, Andy's this and Andy's that. Andy was out the fucking door about 10 minutes later.
It's the easiest of time to make a decision like that now. Because now he's apparently Maguire's being dropped for tomorrow. So he's the rollback on that no longer than 3 weeks after making that decision. And the thing is, like, I'm not going to say if you had a brain, because obviously the fella is very fucking intelligent. You don't make it that level of football. Otherwise, what's Harry Maguire going to do if he takes captaincy on? Is he gonna roll back and start playing shite? Because he's been shite anyway. Is he gonna turn around and tell you he wants out? Yeah, no bother, Chief. Newcastle might pick you up or fucking Burnley. You pick your poison. He literally had an open goal. He had an open goal.
The other shout is who'd you give it to?
Who would I
genuinely?
It's a good question, but you know who I'd probably give it to? Even though I think he's finished, I'll probably give it to De Gea, because he fucking gives you his all, and he probably garners respect around that dressing room.
Yeah.
That's like
I
something
think
like
McTominay.
that.
I think
Don't give it to
McTominay
this
would have been
fella
an
who's
argument,
clearly
but
not able for it.
I think McTominay could have been an argument to be made captain of United. But I think there's something going on
Stop.
there with him.
We are talking about Casemiro, right? Casemiro's going from winning the ball back and giving it to Modric, who would fucking take the ball in a phone box.
Yeah.
When you see him, he gives it to McTominay, whose second touch is a fucking tackle.
Yeah.
Like, the fella is dog shit. Dog shit.
Yeah, but I
that's
think
what I'm saying. Gav, you know that I had this conversation with that Casemiro will make a big difference. Casemiro was going to have a pain in his bollocks after 4 weeks ago. I have a pain in my bollocks winning the ball back and giving it to you, Per. Only for what? Oh, but he's great with Fred and bleeding Brazil. Do me a bleeding favour, will you? It's a fucking... They are an absolute...
It's a different game. International football is a different game.
And again, it's a team that dominates. Brazil, when they're playing in South America,
are
dominating the ball, dominating the opposition. Nearly, like similar to some teams, they're defeated before they even come out onto the pitch. And that's where I think, not that Casemiro struggles, but the move doesn't make sense for me. They should have, in my opinion, brought in a younger player for whatever price it was and built their team up that way. Instead of Casemiro, he seems such a short-term fix, Casemiro. And I don't even know if he's a fix. And I just
a 3-year deal on 350 grand a week.
Yeah.
Like,
with an option to add one on. People are laughing at the McTominay show. Genuinely, McTominay goes out and gives everything for United. Right? He's maybe not the best in the world, but he gives everything. When you look around that squad, there's not many like him. That's why De Gea is not a bad show, although he threw one in the net. He cares. The rest of them just wander around not giving a bollocks. Like, Keith, I'm going to stay with you and move to Liverpool. All right. 2 draws from 2. Poor against Fulham, we know that. Good against Palace. Got caught by a really good goal, in my opinion. Eze to Zaha, and it's a brilliant, brilliant finish. We've plenty of chance in the game. It's probably the only thing you can throw is that our finishing probably wasn't at it. But overall, I thought against Palace we were good. But what's happened today with Newcastle and City is probably, like you said in your tweet before we come on, life comes at you fast, doesn't it? And just this game takes on an extra kind of dimension to it now with what happened there. And I know it's the 3rd game of the season, but if we win tomorrow night, we go in, we go, right, 5 points from 9. Not what we wanted. We probably wanted more. Probably wanted 7 or 9. But we're still looking at City and going, they're on 7. And that's where you kind of always keep your marker, Keith. So, not the best start of the season for Liverpool, but a real chance tomorrow night to put things right.
Yeah, 100%. Because, before today's game with Newcastle and City, we're all probably thinking, right, City are bleeding miles ahead of us now. And we were giving them the 3 points before the game happened. And then looking at, and there's all the talk of a relegation bleeding, bottom of the table clash with Manchester United. And look, stranger things can happen. Broken clocks can be right twice a day and all this thing. But United, technically, they could have something to go for and they could be lifted up, and Liverpool could be a bit nearly a slug in the gut and on the ground. Instead, City dropped 2 points. And look, we say about when Liverpool get a draw, that's like a defeat. It's the same for City. You know what I mean? Like, a draw is a bad result. Whether they came from 3-1 down or not, it's not a great result for them. So that's a little bit of an injection that Liverpool need to say, look, we haven't, forgetting about results, some of the performances from our big players, and we've all spoke about this before, and Seany, I've seen you on Alex's show as well talking about this. Virgil van Dijk, Trent, Robbo, Fabinho, Mo haven't been at it yet. Do you know what I mean? And these are key players. These are the players that we will build around, and they have not been at it yet. Now people can jump in, and we'll jump in the comments and all this about what about Henderson. Henderson hasn't been great. He hasn't been that bad. The other players that are in there, Diaz has been up and down, but we haven't been great yet. We haven't been great yet as a team.
Henderson is poor against Fulham, but I think he actually he's quite good when he comes on against Palace.
I thought Henderson was the best against Fulham, to be honest. I thought Thiago was atrocious against Fulham.
I get that, but what I'm saying is I'm not measuring Henderson's bar off anyone.
No.
I'm just saying overall they were all poor against Fulham.
But the ones, my point is more, the ones you can usually rely on have not been there to be relied upon. Now, that's not down to any Liverpool are going to fall off a cliff thing. That's just down to the big guns aren't firing at the moment, and that will come back. And if you look at the way we played against Man City in a big game, we were fucking brilliant. And then if you look at how we played against Fulham, and I don't know, did we take them for granted? Were we not ready for them? Palace caught us dopey, we know that, but overall I thought we were decent in that game as well. Does it take a big game at Old Trafford now for them to say, look, you know what you have to do here? Get the fucking fingers out and let's get stuck into these, because these are bad. You know, this United team are bad. So if we look at Bobby coming back into the front line, we look at, so we won't do a team yet, but you know, Bobby has been there and he's done that at Old Trafford. So we know he knows what it takes. Mo has had a field day there lately. Do you know what I mean? So we'd expect that he can do the business. And we just need these big guns. We're not looking for Harvey Elliott to suddenly step up and be the main man here. We're looking for Virgil to step in and be the main man. We're looking for Trent to be the main man. We're looking for Robbo. And these are all leaders. And that's all we need, is our big guns to say, right, have a look at ourselves. We haven't done ourselves justice here. But City have given us a little bleed and left the door open for us to get in here. And we could end this game week up on 5 points, 2 points behind City. I don't really care what Arsenal are doing. They don't concern us at the moment. Spurs, all these teams can go and get their points now. What we need to do now is get the City, keeping them in our sights. And I think a good game against United tomorrow gives us something to aim for. And that puts us back on track, in my opinion. I could be wrong. You know, we might beat United and then play Bournemouth then after that, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Play Bournemouth at home, and we could struggle, you know what I mean? But I don't think we will. I just think we need all our big lads to just start playing, and we should be fine then after that.
I think someone might have the audio playing out of a speaker there because it's coming back as Keith's talking, but if you do, just knock it off. Kev, a few in the chat there have said, you know, we've looked a bit lethargic probably against Fulham. Didn't take a chance against Palace, you know. But is this the perfect game tomorrow where, you know, the real Liverpool turn up and smell blood and go, right, this is where we kickstart from. This is where we start our season now, and we really want to. Not only do you get 3 points, but you do it away at Old Trafford, and then you look at Bournemouth and Newcastle at home in your next 2 games. It's a real jumping off point for this Liverpool side. Does it actually suit us tomorrow that they're in a bit of a bad way and we need to just turn the fucking key in the ignition, let's be honest.
Tomorrow, all that matters is 3 points. Performance couldn't care less at the minute. It's 3 points, have to win. You cannot we could end up tomorrow night with United ahead of us if we lose. United will be ahead of us on the table, and they're absolute dog shit. For how bad that we were, at least there was some green shoots to look at in the Palace game, because we created 20 odd chances, only 4 on target. I'd be more worried if we couldn't keep the ball and we couldn't get chances. As long as we play to that standard, we will get chances again against United, and we'll take them. You have to take them. My worry is the selection up front tomorrow night.
Don't be getting onto me teams now before I ask you.
We'll get there later, but it's winner. I can't emphasize it enough how important it is to get a win tomorrow night. Whatever about City, it didn't matter. It doesn't matter what City did or didn't do. That's a bonus. The fact that they only got a point today, and it should have been nothing. But we can't go play after 3 games with only 2 points. It can't happen. And like I said, the only saving grace is for how bad we were against Fulham. There was about 80% of what we did against Palace was fine. It was everything up to the final third and the last ball, the last chance. That was the problem. The last ball, the last chance. Creating better chances. That's where we were missing. And even when Núñez went off, going to a 2-man midfield and going 3-4-2, basically at one stage, we were better for it, you know. And I think we have more to be positive about going into tomorrow night. You know, despite the fact that the 2 teams are on shite points totals, they've done nothing in 2 games. They have literally been mauled for 2 games. They look so mentally fragile, mentally weak, that if they go behind again, they could completely collapse. Whereas on the other hand, if we carry on our tradition of conceding the first goal, and you give Old Trafford an excuse to get up and an excuse to get behind them, against us especially, anything could happen. Because they do have individual players capable of doing things to really hurt you if you're not careful and switched on to it. Rashford is capable of moments. Ronaldo is absolutely capable of moments. So we have to be on it from the start, right at the start, first 20 minutes, and bang at it and hit him hard for once. Just turn up in the first 20 minutes and do some damage. That's all I'm hoping for.
Seany, we go there. We haven't had the best start of the season. We've gone over it and over. They're in a bad place. We have to kickstart the season. Our approach to it, we always speak about this, Seany, don't we? Our approach when we go there, do we sit and see what they have and then go for them, or do we do what we done last season and we just go in there? We go in there and we go, we're better than you, and absolutely put them to the sword. Can we do that again tomorrow night with the players that we have out, or the players we might play?
We can.
That's the question I have here. Do you still expect Liverpool to go in there and go, we're better than you and we're going to show you?
Well, they should, because I think maybe down the years, one thing we could probably point back at Klopp, maybe in this fixture in particular, is probably shown them a little bit too much respect.
Yeah.
And I think last year was the complete antithesis. We go there and we just fucking put the foot on the throat of them. It's 4-0, game over at half time. I think we actually toyed with them in the second half. Probably could have made it 7, 8, 9 if we wanted it, to be honest with you. I think we completely take our foot off the gas. But I'll just go back to a very, very good point that Kev made there. I think we've gone behind in our last 8 Premier League games. It's got to fucking stop. It's as simple as that. You might get away with it at home against Palace. You get away with it again at home against Fulham. You don't want to give these bastards something to shout about tomorrow night. That's if they show up, of course, because we all know what's going on there. But we just need to be on it. And like Keith said as well, it sounds like a bit of a fucking echo chamber, but it's right though. We need our big lads to step up. There's no point worrying about who we haven't got. There's still enough quality there to kill this. We have world-class players in every position still.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. World-class defenders, world-class midfield. Fabinho hasn't been on it. Still world-class in my opinion. Across the front three, Diaz definitely, who came to life last week when we went down to 10 men. And you have Mo, who hasn't been on it. So, look, we should have enough of this. If we apply ourselves and apply our game plan, I think they will share it. And if they go down, they will crumble. Because I don't know. Maybe you might be able to tell me. I can't remember the last time I seen this Manchester United side go up for a game. I genuinely don't. I couldn't tell you.
Fair point.
It's maybe the Spurs game where Ronaldo gets a hat-trick. I don't even know when that was. I think that's before Christmas last year. I to be honest with you, I cannot remember the last time these go up for a game. I'm not even joking you.
They seem to live. They seem to live on the edge where they'll go in and they'll kind of go, oh yeah, and then once something goes against them, it's gone.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm asking this question.
They're mentally fragile.
Yeah, we should just go in and go, we're better than you, and do it. Keith,
we showed that last year at Old Trafford. Sorry, Gav. When we battered them, they started. Bruno has a shot.
Yeah, early,
and they're all like, ooh, and we go to their end and smash them.
Yeah.
And you just saw them falling apart, and that's what we have to do with them. We have to get at them early and just put our sort of demons to bed about conceding early. But also, if you score on them, I just think the whole place, the arse falls out of it.
Yeah. Just on the players we're missing, Keith. I'll come to you, right? I've no issue with Gomez. I think I'll start with Van Dijk. And we go through the team later. I've no issue with the team. We're going to start with whether we disagree on one or two, maybe, towards the end of the show. But does the players we're missing give them a little bit of a G up? And the only reason I'm asking that is because Jota's not there. He's done damage against them, right? Thiago could literally pull them asunder in a game. I don't actually think he plays at Old Trafford last season. No. But he does at Anfield, and he's unfucking believable at Anfield. You look at Núñez, who's come in. He gets sent off last week, but he would have been a real threat, I think, to their running behind them and getting across defenders and just being an absolute nuisance. Where Firmino, if he plays, might be a little bit different. But does that give them a little bit of a G up, Keith, where they go, well, look, they're missing him, and him. Oh no, they're bringing in these players, but that threat in behind isn't as big down the middle, and this fella isn't going to pull strings all day. Could that give them a little bit of encouragement?
I think it would be false encouragement, to be honest, because I think Seany said it there. We have world-class players. Do you know what I mean? Whoever's forgetting about who's missing, we have players that will do them damage. And, you know, the likes of Núñez or Jota not being there brings in Firmino. Not everyone's a Firmino fan, but what Firmino can do is Firmino comes in deep, pulls centre-backs all over the place, creates space in behind for the likes of Diaz and for the likes of Salah to get in there. So it's a different threat for them. And one thing about Lisandro Martinez is he's very, very front-footed defender. He runs out to get to these things. And I think he could leave gaps at the back. I think he could leave gaping holes in there. And I think someone like Firmino, if Firmino was on it, and we know when Firmino's when Firmino's on it, he holds the ball up and he links play brilliantly. If we get that version of Firmino, I think we'll tear them apart, because I think they'll be all over the place. So I don't think it matters who we're missing. Once we've said it there, once the big ones show up and put in a performance, I don't really think it matters, because we'll go through the team in a while, right? And I think it's still going to be a strong team. And I think even if we disagree on one or two positions or players, I think either way it's going to be a strong team. And I think it's going to cause problems for them. And this famous last words, and this could come back to bite me in the arse, but I don't see where they cause those problems. I know Kev said about Ronaldo, Rashford and all this. Sancho on his day, you know, can be very good. I think they need us to be shit for days to get on top of us. So I think it's paramount that whatever team we put out, they're switched on. Do you know what I mean? They're not allowed to be complacent. They're not allowed to be sluggish. They're not allowed to start slowly. If you get on top of these and you start fast against these, this game will be over in the first half, without a doubt.
I think it could verge on that. It really could. We're going to get on to some lineup predictions and stuff. I've seen in the chat here. I just want to read it out because this is going to cause fucking murder. Jamie Holmes says Jurgen Klopp has been quoted as saying we have more injuries than we would have imagined, and it would be cool to have another midfielder in, of course. Then there is also another factor: I am not in charge of what we can spend. So, Jesus Christ, stay off social media, because it's going to be twisted in all sorts of fucking directions.
If that's a direct quote and a legit quote, that is a proper kick in the balls to drop that the day before you go to Old Trafford.
Well, we'll have to wait and see if that's the full quote, because you usually get them quoted in certain way. And of course, it's all blown up now. And Kevin Ball is asking, is them quotes Klopp putting pressure on FSG to spend? I'm not getting into it. I'm really not.
No.
Listen, I'm not going into it. Let me read out a couple of our sponsors for this evening. We've two tonight, which Veranda Cheese will be absolutely thrilled by, I'm sure. Let me see. The first one, of course, is IP Vanish. IP Vanish is a VPN service where you can protect your data, your identity, your location, stuff like that, while you're on the internet. Passwords, and it's basically good for security. Use it on your tablet, your desktop, your phone, your Fire Stick, if you're streaming media and stuff like that. Use it all with the VPN IP Vanish. One touch of a button on these devices and you can be protected. 4.6 out of 5 on Trustpilot. And if you go to www.ipvanish.com/Daytrippers, you can get 70% off your yearly subscription with 30 days money back guaranteed. That's www.ipvanish.com/Daytrippers. The second one is called BetterHelp. Now, this one came up and it was interesting because BetterHelp is it's an online therapy company, right? So, there's an awful lot goes around today about mental health and how people are feeling and how they look after themselves and stuff like that. So, it was interesting when this one come up. Basically, the way they come across is like, if you had a car that you have to look after for the rest of your life, how much effort would you put into it? You should do the same with the likes of your brain, your well-being and stuff like that. And that's where BetterHelp comes in. They are an online therapy session. So you can go online, you can have therapy sessions on there, you can talk to people. It offers video, phone, and even live chat only therapy sessions. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. Much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. I think it's important we read that one out, actually, because you do see an awful lot about people. They might be in a bad spot, they might need someone to talk to and stuff like that. So check out BetterHelp. 10% off for our listeners at the moment for their first month at betterhelp.com/daytrippers. That's BetterHelp.com/betterhelp. Lineup predictions. Seany, go on, I'll let you go first. Yeah, muted, Sean. And now we just laid legs. No, he's back. He's muted himself. Still muted. Now you're on. There you go, Seany.
I hate this fucking lineup bollocks. 11 Liverpool players out.
Come on, Seany, pick us a team, will you? Stop getting all annoyed. Pick us a team.
Alisson, Trent, Gomez, Virgil, Robbo, Fabinho, Keita, Hendo, Diaz, Bobby, Mo.
Okay. Who's the midfielder you had?
Fabinho, Keita, Hendo.
Okay, nice. Kev, what's your 11?
Alisson, Trent, Gomez, Virgil, Robertson, Fabinho, Henderson, Naby, Elliott, Salah, and Diaz.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. So you're going Elliott?
Salah through the middle, Elliott wide right, Diaz wide left. I just don't like Henderson in the 8 on the left-hand side. I think that's Naby's best position if Thiago isn't playing. I like the balance with Henderson on the right, and I like the fact that Henderson goes on the outside and Elliott can come in on his left. I don't like Elliott and Salah on the same side because they congest the space inside. They both want to naturally come in onto their left side, and nobody's there to go on the outside. It's not Trent's natural game. He always finds himself further inside, so you're just congesting the pitch. You're making it smaller, and that's not what you need to do against this Manchester United side. You need to make the pitch as wide as possible and play on the outside and pull them apart that way. That's the only reason I go that way.
My only issue with that would be
I just don't think we've seen it. Sorry, I just wanted to say I don't think we've seen the version of Bobby that Keith was talking about for a long, long time.
He was good against Southampton away, I thought, at the back end of last year. I thought he was fucking deadly.
Yeah, but
my only issue with Mo down the middle is he's shite with his back to goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and you probably want to play a little bit more withdrawn, wouldn't you? So you can then
expose
them.
Yeah, but I like Elliott in the front three though. I like Elliott in the front three.
It's interesting now. Them two teams are really interesting. Kind of throw me. Keith, 11 place.
Look, the back five that we've all said. I don't see there being any issues on that. I'm switching. I'm going Elliott in the middle with Henderson and Keita. I'm going with then the other three up front. I didn't have Keita in the team originally. I was sort of thinking Fabinho Henderson
doesn't play at Old Trafford last year either.
No.
Yeah. I just think something Kev said there about Henderson can't play on the left. Keita plays on the left of the three. And I think Fabinho's been bad. I think he's been shit so far this season. So I think it'll be Hendo playing the 6. Because I think he wants to play Henderson. I think he'll want to get Henderson in the team. And the more I thought about it, Henderson or Elliott rather than Henderson or Thiago. Oh, not Thiago, sorry, Keita. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised now to see Keita coming back in and playing that left side. And then the front three being Bobby. I get what people say about Bobby. You know, he hasn't been that player. I thought Bobby was okay.
You might think we could say a little Christmas tree tomorrow.
4-2-3-1.
Yeah, I think you could. I think it's possible you see Hendo and Fabinho are the base, and maybe Carvalho or Elliott as like a 10
A
of
little
them three,
surprise.
maybe,
You
because
wouldn't be
I actually
surprised.
fancy Klopp would fancy them two up against their two. That's
Yeah.
what I reckon.
All the sound technicians in the chat again are back saying that is that a radio in the background? Like, Jesus, they let you away with nothing. There's obviously a sound issue somewhere, lads. Just leave it. You know what I mean? We're trying our best. Allison, Trent, Gomez, Van Dijk, Robertson. I think he goes Fabinho, Henderson, Keita. I think he does, and I think it's a bit harsh on Elliott, but I think that's the way he's going to go. I think he'll definitely look to control that midfield, and he'll look for as much. Even Henderson's physicality in there, I think, will go, and Fabinho isn't being dropped. I don't think he is. I think, United look at that and go, Fabinho's being dropped, we'll try getting around people. I think Keita starts, because I think if you're going to see any sort of version of Bobby that you think you could get, running beyond Bobby is going to be big, and I think that's where Keita might come into his own. Elliott is brilliant, but I don't think he makes an awful lot of man running runs, if you get me. He likes to orchestrate. I think that's where you might see it. Don't get me wrong, I think you could see Carvalho, Elliott and all come on later on, because you have the 5 subs, but I think they will go with that 3 up front. I think he will go Firmino, I think he'll go Diaz, and I think he'll go Salah. But we're all sitting here and it could be fucking nothing as to what we've picked, because you never know what way it'll come out. But I just think it's still going to Manchester United. You're still going to want the players going onto the pitch that, plenty of experience and still to be, I'm not saying overly solid because you're concerned about them, but I think just going in there, I think Keita and Henderson is probably the best two that complement each other for this game going in to start off with. But by all means, like, if you want to throw Carvalho at them for the last 25, which I'd love to see, by the way, Elliott, whoever it might be, I think, and that's where it comes down to, having options and still being looking really, really strong.
Do you know why I'd fancy Elliott to play on that right hand side? And Kev, I think, mentioned that he cuts in all the time. I think that left side of that United defence is a weakness at the moment. And I think if you can get in around there, and I think Elliott gets into them little pockets of space brilliantly and then cuts the little through balls in, and I think he can do serious damage. That Hendo doesn't do. Look, I'm a huge Hendo fan, but he's not the player that he was. He has different qualities now as he's getting older, and that's why I just think Elliott in there. He threw him in against Chelsea last season. I don't think he's afraid. You've
mentioned Milner here in instead of Fabinho in a 3.
No, I'd go Henderson. I'd go Henderson at the base quicker than I would Milner. Milner's done okay. Let's be honest.
The boy not him says, why not play Diaz down the centre, stick Carvalho out on the left? See, that's what the options are.
Yeah, And he could, if he treats them with disrespect, he could do that. If he treats them with the disrespect they deserve.
You could go 4-4-2. Play Diaz and Salah up front. Play Elliott on one side and Carvalho on the other side, and play Henderson and Fabinho in the 2 6s.
Yeah, I think the more I think about it, I think Naby should start, because he loves pressing. And if they're going to insist on De Gea trying to pass the ball out to Casemiro, can't play, can he?
No.
But if they're going to insist, if he's going to insist on playing out to the likes of an Eriksen or Bruno Fernandes, who are both good footballers, don't get me wrong, but it's all different when you're 25 yards from your own goal and you're being asked to dictate. I think Naby could have a field day pressing off them, especially when Bobby, drops into that little space and entices them into it. So it'll be interesting. But I have to go on to score predictions. You know the rules. If Liverpool score and you think they score, you have to give us the scores. So go on, Keith. You go first.
5-0. I think we're going to absolutely butter these up and run through them. I think Salah's going to get 3. I think
another back-to-back hat-trick at Old Trafford.
Yeah, loves it. Why not?
Isn't he the only opposition player in Premier League history to score a hat-trick at Old Trafford? Yeah, so you're saying he's going to do it again?
Yeah, okay. No bother. Because he hasn't been.
What have you been drinking tonight?
Vodka and Red Bull.
Of course.
Yeah. But I just think I think we're going to put a marker down tomorrow. I'm expecting our big guns to fire. I'm expecting Joe Gomez to come into that defence, and he was good the other night when he came on, in fairness.
Really good.
And let's be honest, they sort of exposed Nat Phillips. I think if Virgil, as I've said, Virgil, Trent, Robbo are a semblance of their normal selves, I don't see them breaking us. You know, and people will hark about the preseason friendly. Jadon Sancho scored the first off a mistake by Isaac Mabaya. We were all over them up to that. Their second and third were mistakes. Do you know what I mean? So I don't see anything in these that's worrying me. Once we go one goal up on these, I think the arse will fall out of them. I think these are really fucking bad. And I think the crowd are bad. The crowd are horrendous. I think the attitude of the team is bad. I don't think they have an identity yet. I don't think they have a plan yet. And I think one goal here and they crumble, and 5 is being conservative. But Mo to get a hat trick, and then we'll throw a goal in for Harvey and Naby.
Okay. Seany, have you been on the fucking Red Bulls? Are you going 5-0? You've muted yourself again, Seany.
Now, I reckon 13-0. Quadruple hat-trick for Henderson
Right.
and a late one for Allison.
That's what I wanted to say.
Take your points and goals and come,
I was
Seany.
being conservative.
I'd say around 14-0, yeah.
14-0, okay. And I was laughing up here earlier because Reece McCardle has 10-0. Salah get 7 and Keita, Alisson and Diaz. But 13 is absolutely...
Quadruple hat-trick for Hendo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. All right.
People's
And,
heads falling off everywhere.
But he'll end up pointing at something and then people go, well, he just pointed at shit. So it's undone, the quadruple hat-trick. Listen, before we finish up, there's a chance here that this game might not go ahead, right? Now, I think it will. But there seems to be very kind of intense talk of United fans protesting in different ways and stuff like that. Kev, A, what do you think the chance of this game being called off are? And B, if it is called off, what would you like to see happen? Seany's laughing
it's not
as chat here now, and I want to know what he's laughing about. Go on.
I think it's not as remote as what people think. I think it's very possible. If they decide to protest the players' hotels and not let the players leave, the police won't let those players leave the hotel unless they can guarantee their safety. Not a hope in hell will they allow that. And there's a cut-off point with sports events. You see it a lot with ODI cricket. If you have a day-night match, that it has to finish by a certain time. Football's no different. It has to finish by a certain time. There's a cut-off point. So they can't just wait and let the game play out. If the game gets abandoned, then what Klopp said is absolutely reasonable. Should be awarded the 3-0, and it should be 3 points. They should play behind closed doors for a month and hurt them that way, whatever way they want to do it. This is the second time, and if it happens, they've been warned. They had their get out of jail free card last time, and it suited us really, But at the end of the day, if it happens, it should be 3 points and behind closed doors games for a month. Mm-hmm. Suck on them apples. It's bullshit.
Kev Ball reckons that they'll get it cancelled in his opinion, but Sean Burke says it doesn't reckon it will be cancelled. Sean,
the only way not to get cancelled if they break into the stadium tonight and dig the pitch up or something.
Yeah.
Honestly,
but Sean, like Kev mentions there about security and stuff like that, and it is taken extremely seriously. Like if they were to block routes or try block this or block that.
Hold on, when did we done a decoy bus before, didn't we?
Yeah.
But that was the repeat. This was this game last year, wasn't it?
The season before.
Yeah. Look, the fucking Manchester police will be on it. I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool are at the ground by 3 o'clock tomorrow. Both teams. They won't allow it. They won't allow it. It's just not going to happen. Like if this was a Sunday game, they'd be maybe willing to let it go. But as Kev said, Monday night football, you couldn't even push it out to a 9 o'clock kickoff because it's just too late. Fans wouldn't be able to get home or that. The shower is sure. I'm with Klopp. If the game is to be postponed, punish the club. Simple as that.
I think they should be deducted points if they do it again.
Yeah. Rumour coming out tonight that Brendan Rodgers is being sacked by Leicester. Try me best.
I saw someone in the chat very early tonight say the betting has come right in on Brendan.
4-5 on he was.
Yeah.
Well, that's a tell. That's a telling. Is what price is 13-0 tomorrow night? Does anyone know?
I'll have a look right now. Hold on, I'll get my app open.
Probably
that's what I'm saying. Like, I can't see it being cancelled. I think it's a whole load of blame fluff. I think they'll be in the ground for 90 minutes as well tomorrow night, the shite bags with that green and gold scarps. Like that's like it's like hyperbole. It's like Nemo when
I'd love them to have the green and gold scarves, and then I'd love to have them the green and gold scarves, right? And then be 3-0 down at half time, and then you bring Casemiro out to unveil him. And they're all cheering them because, you know, they spent another 60 million quid. Because I think that would absolutely suit the point I'm trying to make on all this, and that's all that matters. Actually.
Honestly, I hope if it does get cancelled, I hope Liverpool are like vehemently about the game being rescheduled and all that, and just getting it off and just saying no, I'm fucking and doubling down on it and backing Klopp and what he said, because it's not fucking on, like, you know. And I'd love to hear what that Pratt has to say about Neville, because I'm sure he'll be goading them on or whatever. But look, I think it's a whole lot of fluff and bust. The same way everyone was like, oh, Chelsea are gonna go fucking broke and Barca can't register players. These things never really happen, do they?
No.
You know, I know what happened, but it was COVID, wasn't it, when the game was called out last time? There wasn't going to be fans in the ground anyway. Am I right in saying that?
Correct.
Yeah.
And
they couldn't do it because the fucking COVID protocols were smashed all over the place.
Yes, because they went into the ground and the COVID protocols were broken because players, people were in putting their hands and stuff.
Yeah. So I'd imagine literally the only way that game gets called off is if someone gets into the ground tonight and digs up the pitch and makes it like physically unplayable.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can say it.
Yeah.
And that's awful news as well regarding Gino.
Ronaldo's broken his tibia in training with Roma.
In training, in training incident today.
Kev B has it up there, and I'll just put it up there and read it out because he actually says it perfect. But yeah, look, that news came out about Gino Wijnaldum tonight. Gino Wijnaldum has also broken his tibia. Wish him all the best after his recent new move. Deserves a bit of good fortune. Says Kev B, and absolutely 100%. You know, whether you agreed or didn't agree with Gino Wijnaldum leaving the club or how he left the club, he's still a modern day Liverpool legend for what he's done with the club. So we wish him all the best, and hopefully he's back sooner rather than later. Keith, any chance it's called off, or do you think it's just an awful lot of fucking messing?
I don't think it'll be called off. I think they're going to...
Dean Regan, breaking news, says Brendan Rodgers has just turned up at the Leicester Stadium with 3 envelopes.
His name is in 2 of them.
Yeah.
I think they're going to announce a deal tomorrow for Anthony. I think the fans are going to be whipped up into a frenzy and they're going to be out with fucking Brazilian flags and the game will go ahead, because I think they're fickle. I don't agree with, don't get me wrong, I can understand their frustration at their owners, but at the end of the day, if they were winning, they wouldn't give 2 shits about this. I think they're going to announce 150 million pounds worth of 150 million euros worth of new players, and that's going to appease the fans, despite what they say. The game will go ahead. They will walk out, but not out of protest. They'll walk out when we're absolutely rogering them. So I just don't think the game will be cancelled. There's a lot of talk about it, but I think it should be Liverpool getting 3 points. Should be the bare minimum that happens if they got that game cancelled again. This is one of the biggest games in world football. It's the biggest game in England. It's the biggest game in the UK. And the fact that they got that called off without any repercussions was pretty scandalous, in my opinion. And if they do that again, I think they should be docked 10 points. Liverpool should be given the 3 points. I think they should be forced to play behind closed doors.
What about 14
I think
points?
They should be hammered. 20 points. Fuck them. Dock them. Loads of points.
64 points in the style of that. Watch your match.
They should just swap them with Salford. Then let Gary Neville have to manage them and take that.
Exactly.
No, do you know what they should do? They should just say, right, who's top of the championship, and they go, right, you're in the Premier League, and they just move them in and move them and just swap over their fixtures.
You have to recite playing Ryan Giggs' poetry in Stretford End before the games.
If United had any sense now, that poetry, they should get that done on a flag. Do you remember they used to get all these sayings on flags around the Stretford End? That'd be amazing.
L is for legs.
Yeah.
L is for legs.
Yeah.
Nice one. Well said,
Your name
Ryan.
sounds like my favourite brand of toaster. It's just the most sensational thing I've ever heard.
And Ryan's with his best mate as well.
Oh,
Like
stop.
this is, I
Ellis
thought that was all a
and that,
wind up.
was it actually Ellis for legs? Ellis for
Yeah.
legs again.
Yeah,
Because he
it
couldn't
was,
think of a second one.
Yeah. But there was 2 A's and they had different ones. So
Oh,
you know what I mean?
yeah, so
you just
he
gave
lost,
I
a
one
bit,
honestly
of,
can't
he lost a bit
believe
of
that
interest when it got to L, did he?
Yeah.
I can't believe that the most decorated footballer in Premier League history is literally creepier than Ted Bundy. It's fucking weird. It just doesn't make sense.
It's mad stuff altogether. Look, we're all going to watch the game tomorrow, and we will have a post-match show at 10 p.m. Presume the game kicks off at the right time and ends at the right time. We will have winners and losers on Tuesday. It's been moved this week because of the game tomorrow. We should have a midweek fix on Wednesday, viewers' voice on Thursday, Premier League forecast on Friday. We'll be back for a post-match game on Saturday because we play Bournemouth at 3 o'clock. And this show will be back with you at 10 o'clock next Sunday. And before we go though, Bobby's Wish to Walk. I made a boo-boo the other night. I said it was at 134. It's not. I read something. I've completely in my own head. It's on 123 odd thousand, I think, at the minute. 27 to go. Bobby's Wish to Walk is to get Bobby, age 7, Bobby Smith, age 7, to St. Louis to get his treatment, come back to Ireland, have some intense physio afterwards, and he will basically have the same treatment that Sienna had going on a year ago now, nearly a year ago, and the changes made to her life is absolutely brilliant. So instead of me boring you with all the stuff that, you know, the name of what the condition he has and stuff, check out Sienna's steps on social media and go and look at her timeline from a year ago to now, and you'll see the difference it makes for a child so young, you know. And we've cut off all ways that you can give money to this channel, and we've done that intentionally. So you can't do super chat, you can't do this, you can't do that. All you can do is you can go in, go to the show description, click on the link, the GoFundMe link, and donate to Bobby instead. And that's the way we'd like it. So you're not giving us money, you're giving it all to him, and that's the whole reason we're doing this. And we don't want to give it to him instead. Anything else before we go, Kev?
No, I'm just looking. I think by the looks of the comments in there now with the stuff that Klopp has said, I think I'm just steer clear of social media for a while.
Someone in there earlier did say that Klopp quote that's being read out is actually nothing like the actual quote.
Of course it's not.
And it's coming from the Echo. So, you know. But people going, Klopp said he's not in charge of what money Liverpool spend. Of course he's not. No manager's in charge of any club of fucking what he spend. But listen, this could be twisted any which way you want it. Shawnee, anything else before we go? Would you like to have a look at that 13-0 and change it maybe?
No, 13-0.
Right.
13-0. That's back to front.
Like a man who sticks to his guns.
Good man.
But what it's worth as well, I think we signed a midfielder as well.
Yeah, so do I.
There you go. Yeah. What's more likely, a midfielder or 13-0?
It's 14-0.
Touch and go,
No, I'd say you get. I'd say be fairly evens in Paddy Powers with that one. I'd say.
I think we'll sign a player, to be honest.
I wonder if I was going to say, I wonder if there is that talk coming out of Ecuador with Casado. Coming out of
I think they'll do something. They're waiting in the long grass. Someone is going to need money along the line, and we'll pounce. Might even be a man off Sheffield, but.
Dylan O'Rourke says, I'm so shocked there has not been no mention of Anthony Joshua yet. Hang on, we might get him on here and he can close out the show for us.
He's just brought in.
Yeah.
Now, in fairness, I felt sorry for him. He shouldn't have been anywhere near the mic. He's had to be getting boxed in the head off a 19-stone fella bloke for 20-30 minutes. He shouldn't have been anywhere near a fucking mic.
Should have been dragged out.
Yeah, and I think boxing boards are very good with all of this stuff, and I think there needs to be laws brought in against it because the poor fellow was out of it in there last night. And I know he probably didn't look badly hurt, but he took a few smacks.
I'll tell you one thing, right? In the UK, after the Ben Watson, Eubank fiascos, what happened with McClellan as well, they banned doing interviews in the ring after fights. You watch any fight that's held in the UK, those interviews are done outside the ring after the fighter has been visually checked by a doctor first. They're never allowed to talk directly inside the ring to anyone for that simple reason, because God knows what they're saying. And one quick shout out as well to Leon Edwards, who absolutely kicked the head
Some
off.
KO that.
Yeah, out of Usman last night. If you
Oh,
haven't
yeah.
seen it,
Yeah,
search it on all my days.
It was good. Callum
Kick
and
the
Luke had a
head
lovely
clean
time
off
watching
him.
that.
Yeah, it was belter.
What was I going to say? Sas Coppoy, Matt from Canada, he's in Dublin at the minute. Any Dublin-based trippers, he's in Ryan's on Camden Street tomorrow night. If you want to go and have a pint with him for the match. Johnny, I've asked you, you're okay. Keith, anything else before we go?
No, my top is Chapecoense. It's being asked in the chat. No, nothing after that. The Joshua. Before we move off that, can I just say, we think the referees in football are bad. The fucking judge on that gave that fight to Anthony Joshua, the American
I
judge.
think he does that. I think he does that thinking the British
English goes for Homer.
Goes for home and he gets
the writing was on the wall in the fight before that, man. The fight before that, the judges were horrific.
Yeah, I thought Zhang won that fight as well.
Yeah, he did. Won a clean.
You know, the scoring and that was bad, but to give Anthony Joshua 7 of them rounds was fucking scandalous and shows the state of boxing. That's everything that's wrong with boxing is that decisions like that are. Imagine Usyk hadn't won that fight because of some shitebag scoring like that. Terrible.
Well, Liverpool ladies beat, or Liverpool women beat West Ham 5-0 in the friendly as well today, so they're off and running for the new season. That has been the Fatback 4. As I said, shows coming on through the week. We're going to try clip up these shows a little bit as well and throw them out on YouTube as smaller pieces as well. They're all available on audio download. And if you listen on audio download, hit the review button on your phone, whatever app you're on. Give us a 5-star review. It helps us out. We don't ask for much, so if you could do that, it'd be absolutely great. Thanks a million to Seany. Thanks to Keith. Thanks to Kev. I've been Gav. That is it. Talk to you in a bit. Over now.